Hey good lifers, welcome back to the channel. Imagine strolling through a suburban setting, a little bit of a greenery going on, and being able to find something to eat and something to heal you, all for free, within about 10-15 minutes. That is what we're going to do today. Today's episode is all about finding wild food and wild medicines right at the beginning of summer. So today what we are going to do is we're going to have a little wander around our local area. Now we live somewhere that is quite suburban, so we live on the edge of a town basically. So this is not in the middle of the countryside, so it's accessible to most people. We do live in the UK, so some of these things might be UK based rather than US based, but I'd really like to know what you guys can find out as well. So we're going to have a look around and just see what sort of things we can find. And then we'll have a little chat about them and hopefully that'll be helpful for you. Hey, wait. Before you go foraging, make sure you have a few things with you, especially if it's your first time foraging. So what are we talking about? Good books are a good thing. So this is Collins Nature Guides, Herbs and Healing Plants of Britain and Europe. Obviously, if you're not in Britain and Europe, get the version that's all right for you. This one here, it's really cool. I'll link it below. This one works by colour. So when you open the book, I'll see if I can do it for you. You can see, like here, these are red flowers or red things that you can find. These are yellow things that you can find. Blue things and such like. It's really cool because it means if you find a plant that you're not quite sure what it is, you can just pick it up and go, okay, it's pink. So does it look like that? Oh, it's a poppy. Brilliant. So it could be useful for you. Another one is, I've got another Collins Nature Guide, is the trees of Great Britain and Europe. Same sort of deal. This one does it on leaf shape. So you can see here, this leaf shape. And then this leaf shape. This is actually super useful. We need to use this more often because we're not quite as good at identifying trees. But get this one as well. We'll stick the links for these in the description below. The next one that you absolutely 100% need to get, and this is like the cornerstone of every single forager's library, is Food for Free. Food for Free by Richard maybe, not quite sure how you say his name. I'm so sorry, Richard. I'm sure your name's easier to say than that. But this little Collins Gem Food for Free book is amazing. It's like the cornerstone of every single forager's library, and it just has like everything in it. So like here, got some bits and pieces like here, loads of stuff in it, so definitely get this one. So if you're going out foraging, you probably won't want to take bigger books with you, so the gem versions of these are pretty good. So this one is the Collins Gem Mushroom version. We use this one, so there's 3 on here that's recommended: Food for Free, Butterflies and Trees. Honestly, the gem versions of these are really good. This is a cute one, again, same sort of thing. It's got lots of pictures of them and stuff. With mushrooms, again, do make sure that you know exactly what you're picking because we don't want to go poisoning anyone, obviously. In your library at home, though, we 100% recommend Roger Phillips' mushroom book. This is amazing. Roger Phillips, unfortunately, is no longer with us. He passed away, I think, a few years ago. But this book is like the god book for all mushroom foragers. The reason it's so cool, if I open it up just a little bit here, let's find an interesting one to show you. Something funky. There we go. This one's pink. My favourite colour is pink, so that's alright. So it shows mushrooms at all different stages in their life, which is really cool. Which means it's such a useful guide for identification. Obviously, it's quite a meaty guide, so it might be a little bit big for you to carry around with you. But keep it in your library and refer back to it. This is amazing. This one's good. Keep it. One more that we haven't actually got here, because it's currently in box packed to go with us, annoyingly. We are moving house at some point soon. Is Booze for Free. I think it's by an author called Andy Hamilton. It's really cool. So if you're foraging stuff and you're hoping to make like drinks, like alcoholic drinks and some non-alcoholic drinks, that is a good one to get. Booze for Free. So I'll link all of them down below and I'll put a picture of Booze for Free up here so that you know what it looks like. So when you're foraging, there's not actually a lot you need to take with you. One thing I do recommend is a decent basket like this. This is my foraging basket. I like this one because it's easy for me to carry like that. Like I can just kind of pop it on my arm when I'm wandering around. But it's got a nice big flat base, so it does a really good job as a foraging basket. I'll link a few foraging baskets below. I've literally had this one for decades, so I don't know where I got it from. Might have been like a boot sale or something, can't remember. It's a really good basket. Another thing is not totally necessary, but it's quite useful, is a foraging pouch. These are really cool. You can pick these up fairly cheap from all sorts of places. Again, I'll link some below for you. But it fits on your belt like that. So if I just open it up here, this bit comes off like this, and you can pop it around your belt. So you can keep your belt on there like that. Nice and simple. Or like chuck a string around your waist or something. Then, when you need to use it, opens up. Opens into a bag with a nice wide open there. And a drawstring top like that. I think my foraging pouch, this is not mine, this is G's by the way. I think my foraging pouch is still at the allotment because I kind of sometimes use it as a harvesting pouch, which is quite nice. But yeah, these are super useful. They're not very expensive and they're a great way to just kind of look after your harvest. And you can chuck these in the washing machine as well. Be careful with the leather, but most of the time you can chuck these in the wash on a delicate cycle if they get mucky. So a basket and a pouch, or one or the other. Definitely something to just kind of hold on to your harvest. That's very important. Other things that you might want to take with you, we are going to take a foraging knife with us. I'll put a little picture of it up here because it's G's knife and he's currently got hold of it at the moment. That's a really good thing. It's kind of got the blade on the wrong way, if that makes sense, so that you can get round the plant and actually cut stuff off. Otherwise, a good pair of scissors or a good pair of garden shears generally does the job. So something sharp, something that you can snip it off with. Again, not entirely necessary. A lot of these you can pick with your fingers, but it's worth taking. Other things, good pair of gardening gloves, especially if you're harvesting nettles. You can see that in our nettle balm video. Some of the things you're picking up are going to be a bit spiky or a bit sticky. So set of gardening gloves, just pop them in your basket, useful for you. So another thing that we normally take with us is a pad of paper and a pen. This really helps, just so you can write down stuff that you're not quite sure of, questions to ask when you get back. You know, you can write down where you found things, just make notes as you go. I always find I'm a prolific note taker, so notebook is quite useful. The very last thing I'm going to say to take with you is said with a little bit of caution, but take your phone with you. I'm not saying that you should rely on apps, because a lot of these apps are actually not very good at helping you out. Having said that, ChatGPT Vision's getting pretty good at this, but don't rely on these apps fully. You still need to know what you're picking, but it can be quite useful if you're not sure, like between two things, taking a picture of something and having a search through, or having a look at a few more different photos of it, like on Google Photos or whatever, so you can actually see what the plant looks like at different stages, can be super useful. Please don't rely on the apps though, because too many people have relied on the apps and ended up eating things that they shouldn't have eaten. So take your phone with you, but don't rely on the apps. Just use it as a bit of a reference guide. So hope that was helpful for you. Let's get on to foraging. So before we jump into actually doing some foraging and having a look to see what we can actually find, I have a few tips for you that's going to make this journey easier, safer and slightly more legal as well, which is always good. So tip number one is to always be completely 100% sure of what you're actually foraging. There are only a few plants in the UK, to be fair, that are like highly poisonous, and that includes mushrooms as well. But there's quite a few that can either give you a jippy belly or that can just make you feel not particularly good. So we don't want to be mistaking something for something that isn't basically what we're looking at. Always take a really good guide with you. I've just had a little chat to you about some good guides, so always have a look at those ones. But have a good guide with you that shows you the alternatives. There are a few plants in the UK, for example cow parsley, which is edible. It's neither here nor there, it's not really worth picking, to be honest. But it looks very similar to something that is actually highly poisonous and that can be really bad for you. So always make sure you know exactly what you are actually picking, so that you avoid either making yourself sick or making somebody else sick, or just picking something that isn't very nice, which is also not what we want really. Another little tip for you is to always make sure that you have got permission to go picking. We're allowed to pick most things on common land, to be honest, as long as you don't take more than you need. So another little tip is always leave enough for the wildlife. Don't strip a plant bare, especially when it's flowering season and it's going to go into berries and seeds. Always leave some flowers on there so that it can keep self-seeding. So leave a little bit for other people and for the wildlife as well. But also make sure you've got permission to pick where you are. If you are on private land, you should get permission from the landowner to go picking. And always make sure you're picking things that you're allowed to pick. So we discussed in my live stream a few days ago about lion's mane mushroom. It's a really cool mushroom, but it is endangered in the UK. You can get grow kits. I'll put a little picture just here of the grow kit that I gave G for Christmas a couple of years ago. And you can grow it in grow kits and you can pick it off the grow kit and eat it like that. That's great. But in the UK, you're not actually allowed to pick it if it's growing in the wild. So that's just one example. You're also not allowed to uproot things like flowers and herbs and things that you find out in the wild. So don't do that either. So pick what you need. Make sure you've got permission. Make sure you 100% know exactly what you are picking so that you're keeping yourself and everyone that you're picking for safe. And the last tip I have for you is to make sure you try and avoid areas with pollution. So if you're picking right next to the road, it's probably not the best place to do it. I do realise that we live in a town, so there's probably pollution around everywhere, but we're trying to avoid like the heavy road use areas. There's also a few things that you're going to pick that are definitely at dog pee height, so just be aware of that. You're not going to be able to avoid that. Plantain, for example, is the one that we will pick in this video probably. And that's definitely a dog pee height. So if you are picking that, just make sure you give it a rinse off afterwards. There's a lot of debates about whether or not you should rinse things that you pick, and I think it only takes a few minutes. Give it a quick clean in water. So make sure you're avoiding heavy pollution areas. Even if there's something that you really want to pick and it's right next to a main road, I personally would avoid it personally. It's up to you though, your kitchen, your rules. So with that being said, let's get on with the rest of the video.
So we're out foraging today and we've got some elderflower that is just about with us. A lot of this is going to be well past its best, and we are now just about turning into the berry season, if you can see that. So in a few weeks' time, maybe about a month, we will be out collecting berries from the elder tree, bush, I think it's a bush. But in the meantime, we're going to be collecting these things.
When foraging for elderflowers and elderberries in the UK, start by identifying the elder tree, often found in hedgerows, woodlands and along country lanes. In late May to early July, look for the elderflowers, which are clusters of small creamy white flowers with a sweet fragrance. Come late August to October, these flowers transform into elderberries, dark purple and hanging in bountiful clusters. Gently harvest elderflowers on a dry day, choosing fresh, fully open blooms. When it's time for the berries, use scissors or a knife to cut the ripe dark clusters, avoiding green, unripe berries which can be toxic. Always shake the flower heads or berry clusters lightly to remove any insects before placing them in your basket. Elderflowers and elderberries are not just delicious, but they're also versatile in the kitchen and beneficial for health. Elderflowers can be made into refreshing cordials, teas, and even lightly battered and fried as fritters. Elderberries, once cooked, can turn into immune-boosting syrups, jams, and even wine. Both elderflowers and elderberries have been traditionally used for their medicinal properties, known to support the immune system and soothe colds. So we can see here that this one is definitely over. If we zoom in a little bit, hopefully it will go in focus. There we go. This is the start of the elderberries, which we are hopefully going to be collecting to make wine and other things. I want to try some elderberry chewy things like sweeties. I've seen those made before, and apparently they're really high in vitamins. So I will hopefully make those on video at some point. If the elder tree hasn't got any flowers on it, one of the best ways to spot elder is looking at this leaf configuration. Elder's got really kind of jaggedy edges. I think you can just about see it there. But it's always got this leaf configuration. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th one up here. So it's always a good way to spot it. Even this one here that's a bit dying, a bit diseased, you can see it there as well. So here we go, same sort of thing here. That's one of the best ways to spot an elder tree if you can't see any flowers or any berries. Another quick one as we wander on. This one here, you can just see it in front of my face here, is a hawthorn tree, and we're going to leave it because it's the hawthorn berries that are the medicinal bits. You can actually eat the leaves, so these leaves here, I'll just pop it in there. There we go, you can see that there. You can actually eat leaves in salad and stuff. They're a bit of an odd taste. I think they're a bit bitter, aren't they?
They're alright. They're alright. I've munched on them as I've gone wandering through the woods previously, so...
They've kept someone sustained as he's been wandering. But yeah, you can actually eat these leaves in a salad, so we can pop them in a salad if we want to, but we're not going to do that today because we're going to leave this tree to produce lovely hawthorn berries. Hawthorn berries are really medicinal, so they're really good for things like blood and circulation and lowering blood pressure as well. So definitely something that we want to try and pick up some of later, just to dry them and pop them in our apothecary, because I'm always trying to add things to the apothecary. So hawthorn is the next thing we found. Hawthorn trees are commonly found in hedgerows, woodlands and along field edges. In spring, from April to May, look for the young tender hawthorn leaves, often referred to as bread and cheese for their mild flavour. These leaves are a vibrant green and grow in clusters along thorny branches, making them easy to identify. When foraging hawthorn leaves, pick them when they're young and tender before the flowers fully bloom. Later in the year, September to November, hawthorn trees produce bright berries known as haws. These small round berries grow in clusters and are ready to be harvested when they are fully red and slightly soft to the touch. Hawthorn leaves and berries are versatile and beneficial for both food and medicine. Young leaves can be added to salads, sandwiches or even used as a garnish, offering a mild and slightly nutty flavour. The berries, rich in antioxidants, can be used to make jellies, syrups and even wine. Traditionally, hawthorn has been valued for its heart-supporting properties, with both leaves and berries known to improve circulation and support cardiovascular health. So I'm looking at yarrow here. Yarrow is an absolutely amazing plant. It's kind of a little bit furry, kind of, you can see it. And this is just on a general kind of patch of grassland, like football pitchy type thing near our house. And it grows pretty much everywhere. Sometimes it has these little white flowers on it. That's when it's a little bit later in the season, but it's almost there now. And once you spot it, you'll spot it everywhere. But we're going to collect some today because I have got yarrow tincture and I've got yarrow oil, but what I want to do is get dried yarrow, which I haven't got any of yet. So I'm going to get some yarrow because this is really, really good as a styptic, and I use it in my first aid balm, which I will link below. I'll also link the nettle balm video below as well. So this is yarrow. It's a fantastic plant, and yeah, we're going to be collecting some of it today. Yarrow is one of those plants that has so many herbal and natural remedies possibilities. It's a common wildflower. It can be found in meadows, grasslands and along roadsides usually. From late spring to early autumn, look for its distinctive feathery leaves and flat top clusters of small white to pink flowers. The leaves are fern-like and aromatic when crushed, making yarrow easy to identify. When foraging yarrow, start by harvesting the leaves early in the growing season, before the plant flowers. They are the most tender and potent at this time. Use scissors to cut the leaves, taking care not to uproot the plant. Later, from June to September, you can collect the flowers, which are excellent for making teas and tinctures. Yarrow is a versatile herb renowned for its medicinal and culinary uses. The leaves can be used fresh in salads or dried for teas and can help soothe colds and fevers. The flowers are also used in teas and can be infused in oils for skin healing remedies. Traditionally, yarrow has been used as a staunch to wounds to reduce inflammation, earning it the nickname the soldier's woundwort. This is what yarrow looks like.
You can do it for me now, my love.
And consider someone here has got a bit of blood on him. What we'll just do is kind of mash it up a bit to get the oils and everything working. And then we'll kind of keep it mashed up a bit. Sometimes you can do this and stick it in your mouth, but I don't really want to do that. And then we're going to just kind of rub it into his cut over there. It's also antiseptic as well, so if you're worried that I'm going to end up doing his finger in, he'd have to have his finger chopped off.
I can do that as well.
Don't tempt you. I think I've just made it bleed even more now because I've just agitated it with the yarrow. But this is yarrow. Use it medicinally. It's good stuff. So we have found willow here, and willow is a great plant. It has in its bark a compound called salicylic acid, and salicylic acid is now synthesised, but it's the original version of aspirin. So you can chew the leaves or you can chew the bark, doesn't really matter. I've got a home dried willow bark that we put in pain relieving stuff, and it works really nicely. Obviously be aware that if you're on other forms of like paracetamol and stuff like that, it will do the same job, so don't have too much of it. But yeah, this is willow, easy to find, easy out pretty much everywhere. Willow really does allow you to tap into nature's pharmacy. It offers numerous health benefits and practical uses. Willow trees are commonly found near rivers, streams and in wetlands, and recognised by their long slender leaves and flexible branches. Different species of willow, such as white willow and goat willow, can be identified by their habitat and leaf shape, but they all share similar properties. When foraging willow, the best time to harvest is in early spring when the sap is rising. Look for young green branches and use a sharp knife or pruning shears to cut them. The inner bark, known for its medicinal properties, can be harvested carefully by peeling away from the outer bark to reveal the smooth green layer beneath. Willow is renowned for its medicinal properties, particularly for its natural source of salicylic acid, the active ingredient in aspirin. The inner bark can be dried and used to make teas or tinctures and to help relieve pain, reduce fever and combat inflammation. Additionally, willow's flexible branches can be used in crafts such as basket weaving and making natural support to plants. Another quick wander down the lane, and this little tree here that we found, or not so little actually, is the mighty oak tree. We're not actually going to take anything from the oak tree today, but it is worth knowing that I believe it's the ancient Romans, but I could be wrong about that. But oak is really, really good for anything dental, anything teeth-wise. So I make a herbal mouthwash that's really good if you've got a mild tooth infection, and that has oak bark in it. I think it was the ancient Romans that used to use bits of oak stick and chew them to clean their teeth. So there we go. This is the oak tree. We're not going to take anything from it today, but it's worth knowing it's here. The mighty oak is one of the most majestic and historic trees in our UK landscape. Oaks are easily identified by their distinctive low leaves and sturdy trunks, and they're commonly found in woodlands, parks and open fields. In the autumn they produce acorns, which are a valuable food source for wildlife and can be forage for humans as well. When foraging for oak, start by identifying the right time and the right parts to harvest. In the spring and summer, young oak leaves can be gathered and used in various preparations. However, the main focus of foragers is often the acorns, which mature and fall from the trees in the autumn, typically between September and November. Collect acorns that are fully mature, brown and have fallen to the ground. Avoid green and unripe acorns as they won't be suitable for use. Oak offers a wealth of uses for both food and traditional medicine. Acorns, once properly processed to remove tannins, can be ground into flour and used in baking or cooked to make nutritious porridges. Oak bark has traditionally been used for its astringent properties and can be prepared as a decoction to treat minor wounds, rashes and inflammation. And as stated earlier, oak has a history of traditional medicine for dental care, particularly due to its astringent and antimicrobial properties. An oak bark decoction can be used as a mouthwash to help soothe sore gums and reduce oral inflammation. Of course, everyone knows what this is. Nettles. We did a whole video on using nettles as a healing salve. So check that one out. I'll leave that in the description. We're not going to pick any nettles today, and I'm going to move away from them because they have a habit of stinging me, even when they're dry. Did you know that dry stinging nettles can still sting? I found that out. So, nettles. So this is the perfect example of the need for patience when we're doing our foraging. This little white flower here that you can just see on the camera is actually a brambles flower. So we're going to leave this because in a few months' time, probably even just a few weeks' time actually, these are going to turn into blackberries. And that, of course, is going to turn into jam. So we'll leave these here for the minute, even though they look quite pretty, and we'll make them in jam in a few weeks. Blackberries and brambles are one of my favourite things to forage in the UK, and they're a proper treat in late summer and early autumn. Bramble bushes with characteristic thorny canes and dark green serrated leaves can be found in hedgerows, woodlands and even along urban pathways. From late August to October, these bushes produce juicy dark purple blackberries, perfect for a variety of culinary uses. When foraging blackberries, look for ripe, plump berries that easily detach from the bush with a gentle tug. Be mindful of the thorns and wear protective clothing and avoid scratches. Harvest only what you need, leaving plenty for the wildlife, especially at this time of year. Additionally, you can collect young bramble leaves in the spring, which can be dried and used for herbal teas. Blackberries are incredibly versatile and nutritious. Enjoy them fresh, used in jams, pies, crumbles and sauces. They work particularly well with apples for a nice blackberry and apple crumble, which is my favourite way of consuming it. Blackberry is also rich in vitamins, antioxidants and fibre. The leaves, when brewed into a tea, have traditionally been used for their astringent properties, helping to soothe sore throats and alleviate digestive issues. So this is one of my absolute favourite things to find, and it is plantain. You can see it growing pretty much everywhere, to be honest. It's one of those weeds that's really prolific on pathways, in woodland, in anywhere pretty much. It just grows everywhere. This is actually a really nice big leaf as well, so we're going to collect some of these. It comes in 2 different varieties. There's Plantago major, which is this one, which is the kind of big size one, and there's Plantago lanceolata. And if I find some Plantago lanceolata, I'll put a little picture in. But basically, it looks a lot more like lance-like, so I'll pop that in. But this is an absolutely amazing medicinal plant. It is great for wound healing. It's a mild analgesic, so it's a little bit pain relieving. It's an astringent. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's an antimicrobial. This should be the cornerstone for your medicinal first aid kit. And we are going to pick a load so that we can dry it today. I completely forgot to film a bit introducing these ones, but these are dandelions. They're found pretty much everywhere in the UK, especially in the very early spring. They're one of the first weeds to actually flower, and bees and other insects and pollinators really do need them in the early spring. Dandelions are easily identified by their bright yellow flowers and toothed leaves found in lawns, meadows and along road signs. They are incredibly hardy, so they'll even be found growing in the middle of cement, which I'm quite amazed by. From early spring to late autumn, the entire plant, from flowers to the roots, can be foraged and utilised. When foraging dandelions, begin by harvesting the young leaves in early spring when they are tender and less bitter. The flowers can be collected once they are fully open, but do leave enough for the bees and pollinators to have first. The roots are best harvested in late autumn, ensuring that you only do this with dandelions that grow on your property. And make sure that you forage in clean areas away from pesticides and pollutions. Use a small knife or scissors to cut the leaves and flowers and gently dig up the roots by being careful not to damage them. Dandelions are incredibly versatile and beneficial for both culinary and medicinal uses. The young leaves can be added to salads, sautéed or blended into smoothies, offering a boost of vitamins A, C and K. The bright yellow flowers can be used to make dandelion wine, infused oil, or even fried into fritters. The roots, once cleaned and roasted, make a caffeine-free coffee substitute and have traditionally been used to support liver health and digestion. They are a diuretic, so they will make you pee quite a bit if you do consume them for medicinal purposes. This one isn't actually something we forage for food or medicine, to be honest, but it's really cool to look at. This is the seed of the sycamore tree. So these little kind of winged seeds that you see here, they fall off the branches and they flutter down and spin down, and they look like helicopters blowing in the wind. They are an absolute delight, especially for kids and for big adult kids just like us. We love watching them flutter down. You can find them all the way in spring. You can propagate sycamore trees from these seeds, but as we said, we don't use them for medicinal purposes or eating purposes, but they are definitely fun to look at. They're these nice big broad leaves as well, so they're fairly easy to spot and fairly common, so we thought we'd include these. We're just doing some weeding, and we found this just outside. This is a weed called shepherd's purse, and you can see that it's got these little tiny heart-shaped leaves. See if I can try and get one in focus for you. There we go, these little heart-shaped leaves. And this is a styptic, which means it stops bleeding. So what you can do is crush it up, shove it on a wound, and hopefully your wound will stop bleeding. So if you ever find some shepherd's purse out in the wild, now you know what it is. Alright, we are back. We have quite a bit in the basket. We picked up some elderflowers so we can make elderflower cordial. We picked up some yarrow because I want to dry some yarrow. I've got yarrow tincture and yarrow oil, but I haven't got dried yarrow, so I want to do that. And the same with plantain. I've got the tincture and I've made the oil, but I didn't really have a lot of dried plantain, so I'm going to be drying that, which is really cool. hopefully you found that helpful. I know it was a bit random. It was just depending on what the kind of things we found. Let me know below if you want a video just showing you how we're going to use the stuff or how we prepare it into the different stuff. I'm quite big into herbal medicines, so that's something that I really like doing. Like, you know, medicine from the hedgerow medicine, as it were. But G's quite interested in foraging for food, so between us we have quite a good time when we go out. And yeah, so let me know if that's something that you want to see below. Other than that, all I have to say is thank you very much for joining us. It was really lovely to have you here. I said last week that I was going to try and do a live stream on the last Friday of every month. I've kind of got that in my head. I'd quite like people to talk to as well on the live stream. That'd be quite nice. So if you're interested in that, just drop us a message below and we can have a chat. It'd be fun. Other than that, thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.